Our today's topic is a poem. The title of the poem is The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. The poem is written by T.S. Eliot. This poem is included in the syllabus of BA Part 2nd, Paper 1st. First of all, we will take an introduction of the poet T.S. Eliot. Thomas Stearns Eliot, the 1948 winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature, is one of the prominent literary figures of modern literature, highly distinguished as a poet, literary critic, dramatist, editor, and publisher. T.S. Eliot was born on September 26, 1888, in St. Louis, Missouri. Eliot was educated at Smith Academy in St. Louis, Milton Academy in Massachusetts, Harvard University, University of Paris Sorbonne, and Merton College, Oxford University. He devoted a further year, 1915 to 1916, to a doctoral dissertation on the philosophy of F. H. Bradley. Eliot's career as a poet can be divided into three periods. The first coinciding with his studies in Boston and Paris, and culminating in the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock in 1910 and 1911. While still a college student, he wrote the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock and other poems that are landmarks in the history of literature. In these poems, Eliot articulated distinctly modern themes in forms that were both a striking development of and marked departure from those of 19th century poetry. The second period is coinciding with World War I and with the financial and marital stress of his early years in London, and culminating in The West End in 1922. The West End was the another landmark poem and one of the most famous and influential poems of the century. While the origins of the West End are in part personal, the voices projected are universal. The third period is coinciding with his angst at the economic depression and the rise of Nazism, and culminating in the wartime four quartets in 1943. In 1930, he published his major poem, Ash Wednesday, written after his conversion to Anglo-Catholicism. Conspicuously different in style and tone from the earlier work, this confessional sequence charts his continued search for order in his personal life and in history. The culmination of this search, as well as of Eliot's poetic writing in his meditation on time and history, the work known collectively as four quartets, which are Burnt Norton, East Coker, The Dry Salvages, and Little Gidding. Eliot was almost a renowned literary critic. From 1916 through 1921, he contributed approximately 100 reviews and articles to various periodicals. Beginning in the late 1920s, Eliot's literary criticism was supplemented by religious and social criticism. Eliot is also an important figure in 20th century drama. He was inclined from the first toward the theatre. His early poems are essentially dramatic, and many of his early essays and reviews are on drama and dramatists. By the mid of 1920s, he was writing a play, Sweeney Agonistes, which was published in 1932 and performed in 1933. In the 1930s, he wrote an ecclesiastical pageant, The Rock, which was performed and published in 1934, and two full-blown plays, Murder in the Cathedral and The Family Reunion. And in the late 1940s and the 1950s, he devoted himself almost exclusively to plays, of which The Cocktail Party, which was performed in 1949 and published in 1950, has been the most popular. From 1922 to 1939, he was the editor of a major intellectual journal, The Criterion, and from 1925 to 1965, he was an editor director in the publishing house of Faber and Faber. In both capacities, he worked behind the scenes to nurture the intellectual and spiritual life of his times. Now, there is an introduction of the poem. T.S. Eliot started writing Prufrock in 1910. It was published in the 1915 issue of Poetry, a magazine of verse, which was one of the leading monthly poetry journals in the English-speaking world. And it was founded in 1912 by Harriet Monroe and remains in circulation today also. Prufrock is the inner monologue of a city gentleman who is stricken by feelings of isolation and inadequacy and an incapability of taking decisive action. It is considered one of the most visceral emotional poems and remains relevant today, particularly with millennials who are more than a little bit used to these feelings. There is an epigraph in the poem. The epigraph of the poem is a 6-line quotation from Canto 27 of the Inferno by the Renza Italian poet Dante. Eliot does not translate it out of the Italian. It is written in Italian language. The Inferno tells the story of how a guy, Dante, who has messed up his life badly enough to require some help from the nice folks in heaven. In order to scare him away from sin and other bad things, heaven sends another poet named Virgil to give Dante a guided tour through the horrors of hell, which is known as Inferno in Italian. Along the way, he meets a lot of evil and misguided people. तो यहाँ इस स्टोरी में इन्फर्नो में ये बताया गया कि कैसे एक व्यक्ति जो कि डांटे हैं वो जाते हैं हेल के जितने भी हॉरर्स हैं वो सारे उनको दिखाए जाते हैं दूसरे पोएट वर्जिल के द्वारा. Along the way, he meets a lot of evil and misguided people. और इस यात्रा के दौरान वो बहुत से बुरे लोगों से मिलते हैं. The quote from this epigraph is said by one of the characters, Guido, in the 8th circle of hell. There are 9 circles. Hell में 9 सर्कल दिखाए गए हैं और ये जो एपिग्राफ है ये 8th सर्कल में जब ये जाते हैं तो वहाँ एक कैरेक्टर के द्वारा बोला जाता है. When Dante asks to hear his story, here is what he says. जब डांटे उससे उसकी कहानी पूछते हैं तो वो कहता है इस एपिग्राफ में, If I thought that my reply would be someone who would ever return to earth, this flame would remain without further movement. But as no one has ever returned alive from this gulf, if what I hear is true, I can answer you with no fear of infamy. Why does Eliot choose this epigraph from this poem? Well, it suggests a couple of things. First thing, that Prufrock might not be a poem about good people, but about bad ones pretending to be good. The setting of the poem is a kind of hell. Secondly, it tells us that this fellow Prufrock, who is singing his love song, might be concerned about his reputation like Guido. In other words, Prufrock is going to tell us things because he thinks we won't have a chance to repeat them to other people.